can't really let the outside forces control how you feel and how your business does. I mean, some of it does have an impact, but really at the end of the day, it's what you're doing. As an agent, you have to realize that it's your business that you're running, even though you're with a broker, right? Whatever broker you're with, whether it's small, large, whatever, it's your business at the end of the day, right? Your client's going to use you mostly, majority, 90% of the time because of you, not because of the name on your shirt or whatever, on your card or anything like that. That's where my focus has gone. And today, 90% of my business is with investors. And I have investors buying multiple properties from me. I have multiple flippers that I'm working with, finding them properties. I'm selling the same house 2 times, 3 times sometimes. And so it's been a really good year for me. I've essentially doubled my production from last year.
Welcome back to our Successful Agent series, where we feature real estate agents doing big things in real estate. In each episode, we cover the starting point of each real estate agent's journey to really understand and appreciate what it takes to take a real estate business from the ground floor to the penthouse. Today, we have none other than Lor Vang, who has a multi-million-dollar real estate portfolio, doubled his real estate business in a land of high interest rates and low inventory, and he's going to share with us exactly how he's been able to do that. He'll be sharing how he qualifies investors and how he's able to get 2 to 3 transactions from each one of those investors in a relatively short amount of time. And he'll also share what it takes to invest in yourself in order to cash in big. So I really hope that you enjoy listening to this Successful Agent. All right, crew, welcome back to the Successful Agent series. We have none other than Lor Vang today. I think you're going to really enjoy our conversation today. But before we jump right into it, Lor, how are you? Tell us about where it is that you practice, how long you've been in real estate. Tell us about Lor.
Hey, Jaime, thank you for having me here. I'm doing good. I'm based out of Milwaukee, Wisconsin market.
Awesome. How long have you been in real estate?
I've been in real estate 15 years as a real estate investor, 5 years as an agent.
Awesome. Something I'd like to ask in our series is, are you a first generation realtor? Are you a first generation real estate agent, or did you see somebody within the family that kind of inspired you to get into the profession, or what was your relationship with being an agent prior to joining?
Yes, I am a first generation real estate agent. First generation real estate, everything essentially is.
Fair enough. I know people are, I know it's a weird way of asking that, but one of the things that I've found is that there's a lot of first career agents. So it seems like that second generation, third generation, unless you have your brokerage or a team or something else like that, it's rare that you have a long lineage of realtors. So I always like to get an informal survey out of the way. But let's jump right into, how did you get started into real estate? So this was your first crack at being in the profession. So tell us about what that looked like, what the transition was. Were you a part-time agent before going full-time? Did you cut the cord at once? What did it look like?
Yeah. So for me, I first got into real estate in 2009, actually. I got laid off from my W-2 engineering job. And so, the whole thing that they teach you in America, go to school, get good grades, get a good job, and you'll be set for the next 4 years or, whatever, and then you can retire. I quickly found out 2 years after school that it didn't exactly pan out that way. So as soon as I, found that out rather quickly and harsh, I was like, you know what, I got to find another way to make income besides relying on a job. And so that's how I got started in real estate investing. I had actually been reading Rich Dad, Poor Dad, kind of like the guide for a lot of people. And just kind of like, you know what, I got nothing else to lose, right? I have no job. Let me get into this real estate investing thing. And so I started with rental properties. And then eventually I got another W-2 job. I got kind of comfortable having investment income plus my job. And then I just kind of coasted for a little bit. But then eventually I got tired of my job. I got tired of the cubicle life. And I was like, you know what, I'm going to ramp up my investing portfolio. So let me get my real estate agent license. And then I can use that to check out properties, be the first to see them, write up my own offers, whatever. However, I didn't really do that. I ended up helping my friends and family because a lot of my friends were at that point in their life where they were looking to buy their first home. So that's kind of how I got started as a real estate agent and in real estate.
Knowing you for as long as I have and the success that you've accomplished in such a short amount of time, I cannot imagine you in a cubicle. So for me to hear that, that's a little bit interesting. So we're going to need to tap into that. But something else that we like to ask in our series is about your very first transaction. Now, the viewers might know that I sold my first house for free. I'm not necessarily proud of it, but we got to do what we got to do when we're getting that experience. But I'm curious, how did you get your first transaction? How did it go? Was it a smooth ride? Was it a disaster? What was that first transaction for Lor?
Yeah. So my first transaction was I was helping my friend buy a house. And he just, found out, okay, yeah, you got your real estate agent license, right? You want to help me out? And I was kind of hesitant, like, this is my first time at this thing. You trust me? He's like, yeah, you have a college degree. You're an agent. You're smart. Come on, let's go. I was like, okay, cool. So I'm very thankful they were trusting of me, and it was an absolute nightmare. Not any of their fault, but more so the mortgage broker that they ended up using. Basically, a lot of empty promises. We had extended about 3 times. Listing agent was like irate at us, but I mean, they were willing to work with us, and we eventually got it closed, which was amazing. And I remember my buyer, my friend at the time, was like, "Well, just think of it this way. I mean, if this is your first one, is this bad? It can only get better from here." So, yeah.
Fair enough. Awesome. So yeah, again, it's a similar story to mine. It was every time I got a call from the client, I'll go ahead and say his name. Nobody knows him, but Tom. Every time I got a call from Tom, I'd hang up. I'd pretend that I'd pretend that I was super busy, that I had another call coming in, but it was me in reality hanging up, trying to get the answer from either my broker or a mentor at the time, who's a close friend, Charles, who actually I think you've met. Mm-hmm. I would call him every single time. Hey, he's asking about some sort of amendment. Like, I don't even know what that means. So it was trying, to say the least. But awesome. Well, let's fast forward significant amount, because again, I know a little bit about your background and the success that you've had. Tell us, where are you focused right now? It's not uncommon for you to be closing 5 transactions a month. I know that you're super successful, and I see you in a plane every other week, it seems like, but I'll let you tell that story. But where are you focused right now? How are you seeing so much success?
Yeah. So that has to do a lot with my real estate investing background, right? And the tough market that we're in right now with inflation, whatever's going on in the economy, and rates and things like that. I mean, I try not to let the macro economy control my personal economy. And that's something that I've learned from being around other super successful agents that I try to duplicate, right? So you can't really let the outside forces control how you feel and how your business does. I mean, some of it does have an impact, but really at the end of the day, it's what you're doing, right? And for me, I realized that, with the high interest rates, a lot of my retail buyers, my normal home buyers, they're not in the position to buy anymore. A lot of them couldn't find homes for whatever reason. But as interest rates kept climbing, obviously they lost buying power. And so I've kind of switched now to where my niche is. Obviously, my niche is investing. And so I have created an avatar to attract real estate investors, because real estate investors, they have a different type of money problem. It's not that they don't have enough. It's they have too much, and they need to put that money somewhere to work for them. And so I've kind of helped educate people on my market, Milwaukee. So Milwaukee is very unique. It is very affordable, Midwest. You can buy properties here under 100,000 if you like. We've got mid-tier, high-end. We can do flips. We can do buy and hold. Pretty much whatever strategy, almost, right? So that's where my focus has gone. And today, 90% of my business is with investors. And I have investors buying multiple properties from me. I have multiple flippers that I'm working with, finding them properties. I'm selling the same house 2 times, 3 times sometimes. And so it's been a really good year for me. I've essentially doubled my production from last year. I did that Yeah, I'll be a double less about July. At early July, I already had done what I did all last year. And so, yeah, I'm on track to pretty much double. So
I hope the audience caught that, Lor. I really hope the audience caught that, Lor, in a space where there's less inventory available, in an environment where interest rates have doubled, tripled in some cases. Your production has been going the other way, right? So you mentioned something at the very beginning that really resonated with me, and I've heard you cover this in other mastermind calls that I've been in attendance to, that where you're sharing, the macro economy. It's going to affect the macro, but it doesn't need to affect you individually per se, because there's a lot of things that you can control, as opposed to having the woe is me mentality of, oh, well, the market is down, so my production can go down. That's not true. So, I mean, that's huge. That's incredible that your business has been continuing to grow in an environment where a lot of other agents, just isn't. The investing community is just phenomenal. As you mentioned, you get multiple clients per investor, if you will. You're looking at not just purchasing, but also the resale. I'm not going to say immune, but they're not as interest rate sensitive, given that there's a lot of cash purchasing opportunities. And really, for me, the biggest thing that I like about the investor client is that they're not as emotionally attached. The numbers make sense. They're going to deploy the capital. If the numbers don't make sense, then they're not. It's not going to they don't necessarily care about the emotional attachment to the yard or something like that. So that's pretty awesome. Something that I do get asked quite a bit, and I'm curious to get your take on it, is the vetting of investors. I'm curious, how do you vet newer investors? I know you already have your pool, but at some point you had to build up to the investors that you have now. Just seems that everybody wants us to go and almost be a bird dog for their investors, but when it's time to purchase, the coffers are empty. So I'm curious to hear from you. How do you vet the new investors that you work with?
yeah, that's a great question. So obviously I'm putting out content on social media, on YouTube, things like that, to attract these investors, right? But yeah, how do you vet them, right? And so I have people reaching out to me like, hey, I want to invest in Milwaukee. The first thing I do typically is I have a consultant call with them, try to figure out, okay, is this, what's their experience like? Is this their first time investing? Are they an experienced investor? And then the question, of course, directs to how do you plan to buy it? Do you need me to refer you to a lender? And if they do, then I refer them to, a couple of my go-to lenders. And then with that partnership, I mean, my lenders are qualifying them for me. So they let me know, okay, yeah, this guy's legit. He's ready to go. This is what his price point is. And honestly, I don't do any showings unless they have a pre-approval or they have proof of funds. I'm not going to spend my time driving around for them if they don't. I'll send them the listing so they can analyze and they can look. But I'm like, hey, you want me to go out there and look for you, you got to be ready to go so that you respect my time and I respect yours. And so, yeah.
That's awesome. Yeah. Again, I'll have to raise my hand. Early on in my career, I would jump at any opportunity. So even if I had to lie myself thinking, no, they probably have money. Yeah. Let's just go and drive 30 minutes in traffic to go and see what this home's about. But again, desperate times, right? Desperate times. Speaking of desperate times, which you're no longer in per se, I understand that you're in growth mode, but I want you to go back for a quick second and do a mental exercise that's going to help us dramatically, because from when you started to where you are now, it's just a radically different business. If you had to go back to when you started to really accelerate and get to the same point where you are right now, I'm not asking to go beyond. I'm asking if you had to go back to your younger self and get to the exact same point that you're at right now, what are some moves that you think you would have done differently, either investing in certain programs, whether it's maybe choosing a different angle in real estate, just any insights there on how you could accelerate back to the results that you're at right now if you could do it differently?
Yeah. That's a great question. As an agent, this is my fifth year as an agent. I struggled in the beginning. Well, in the beginning, I was part-time. So first 3 years, I was kind of part-time, and I didn't do a whole lot. But when I shifted, right, when I went to quit my W-2 and I went full-time, I was doing okay. I was doing all right. And I figured, what, let me quit this W-2 and go full-time. And as soon as I did that, and those weekly checks stopped coming in from my W-2, I was kind of like, oh crap, I don't know how to be an agent. I don't know how to lead gen. I don't have a CRM. I don't know how to do much of anything, how to market new buyers, new clients, and things like that, right? And so that was a huge awakening for me. And I was like, yeah, I'm not getting quite the support, the mentorship that I need in my current place that I'm at. So let me go find a different, let me go find somewhere else where I can find what I need, or what I thought I needed, right, to help my business. Because as an agent, you have to realize that it's your business that you're running, even though you're with a broker, right? Whatever broker you're with, whether it's small, large, whatever, it's your business at the end of the day, right? Your client's going to use you mostly, majority, 90% of the time, because of you, not because of the name on your shirt or whatever, on your card or anything like that. They have to know you. They have to like you and trust you. And so that was one of the most eye-opening things, is that you have to be a business owner and you have to learn how to run it as a business. And nobody's going to get you out of bed in the morning, tell you exactly what you need to do. You have to plan your days. You have to be intentional about what you're doing. And yeah, at the beginning, it's a struggle, especially as a new agent, as a new business owner. But yeah, once you've unmastered the agent day-to-day stuff, like how to write contracts, how to do that type of thing, then the next thing to do would be how do you scale this up and level up and be able to generate business for you, generate leads. And I'm cheap and I don't have money, so I don't pay for leads, or I try to pay for leads, but I realize it's a waste of money. And my money is going out the window. And that was very bad, bad experience, running leads, trying to do cold calls, buying leads and things like that. And it sounds cheap at first, but when you have thousands or hundreds of leads that you're calling that go nowhere, that's a lot of expense. And so I quickly stopped. I didn't want to do that anymore after about a month or two. I stopped doing that. And then I started to shift over to social media and video content creation. And so that's kind of really where my energy went to, because number one, again, it's not that expensive. You're creating your own content. You're publishing it yourself. Publishing on Facebook, YouTube, it's mostly free, especially if you are, doing all the editing yourself. Yeah. And it's just your time. And in the beginning, you have a whole lot of time, especially if you don't have clients. So in the beginning, yeah, that's what I would, if I were to do this again, I would definitely do that earlier. And it's a lot of action on faith that it's going to work out. I remember my first year going full time. I wasn't even that consistent, to be honest. I'm not even that consistent in creating the content, but you just have to be consistent in putting out at least something once a week. And so people start to see you. They start to see your brand. And it doesn't even matter if people engage with your content. It doesn't matter at all, because they still see it, even though they don't click on it. They don't hit the like, they don't hit the share, they don't do anything, they don't comment. Because when I would go out in public and I would see my sphere of influence people, they would be like, oh, hey, I see your content on Facebook all the time, man. That's amazing what you're doing. Keep it up. I'm like, you see my stuff. How come you're not clicking on it and help me out, man? Hit share or something like that. But, I think it's just, I don't know. People are weird. People are like, they want to support you, but they don't, maybe they just don't think of it right. And so or maybe they're afraid of what other people will think, like, oh, well, I have this other agent in my family already. I don't want to like your stuff because maybe they're going to think some type of way, right? So, a lot of people are secretive, right? But I think the thing is also don't be a secret agent. Don't not tell people what you're doing, especially on social media. And for me, I'm an introvert. I was very private in the beginning, right? I didn't want to share what I did because I didn't want people to think that, oh yeah, now he's just going to spam his Facebook and I'm going to have to see his stuff. But at the end of the day, when your income, when your family, the food that you're putting on your table, the mortgage payments, that depends on what you're bringing in. At that point, it didn't matter to me. I went all in. And really, you have to go all in and go all in right away, because if you're just going to, not put the effort into doing this thing, then you're probably in the wrong business, because it's not going to go well. It's going to take you even longer. So you have to go all in. You have to be consistent in your business plan, whether you're cold calling, whether you're door knocking, or the social media angle or the video content. You have to go all in. And you have to tell people what you do and stop worrying about what other people think, because those same people are worried about what other people think about them. So you just have to stay top of mind, because when people are ready to make a real estate move, as long as you're out there consistently and they see you, even as they scroll past you, they're like, oh, yep, he's still in business. That's awesome. And when the time comes for them to either pick up an investment property, move, sell, whatever, they will think of the person that they always see, and they think of you because you're consistent. You're still in business. So that's what I would have to say. It's kind of long, but yeah.
No, there's a lot there. There's a lot there, Laura. So I appreciate you sharing that. One of the things that you mentioned at the beginning was, I didn't know how to be an agent, right? And that's a humbling reality. In some ways, that's until you can really recognize that, there's a difference between doing this part-time and doing this full-time. And the way that you kind of sandwich that last part at the end, like, as I'm putting food on the table for my family, to hell with everybody else, right? So it's once you realize that this is your livelihood, once you realize that this is your business, and put some systems in place, which is something you've done phenomenal in a phenomenal way. Once you put some systems in place, it does allow you to do just so many different things. And some of the things that I see, at least on your social media, because I do follow you, is I mentioned earlier, every other week I see you in a different spot. See you in a different city. Either I see you, and correct me if I'm wrong, but I either see you at one of your investment properties, whether that's in Texas, whether that's any other state that you're investing in right now. I see you at a conference to level up, grow, network, and be in the community of like-minded individuals that are seeking growth. So it's no surprising that your business doubles from 2022 to 2023 in the actions that you're taking. I see you with your family. I see you with a ton of pending and sold signs. I see you mentoring other real estate agents so they can have the same type of lifestyle that you've created. Now, again, I know that you're a personal person because you just mentioned it yourself, but or more of a private person, sorry, because you just mentioned it yourself. But I think there's a lot of value in you sharing your lifestyle. Not that it's the greatest, not that it's the worst, but it's sharing what you're doing daily. It's a constant reminder for those people that don't share your content, that don't click on your content, but they remember and they see you at any point in time, whether it's your commercial property there that you're consistently battling with the washing machines, I believe. They're reminded about that you're in real estate. They see at any point in time, they could be in the market for their own venture. They could be in the market for their own commercial space, for their own Airbnb, because I know you have one of those as well. Again, I'm blasting all your information out there because sometimes I know you won't brag on yourself, but again, it's a lot of the things that I see, not that you've ever verbalized that to me, but I'm actually seeing it. And I know a lot about what you're doing just because you're sharing what you're doing. You're not being braggadocious about it. You're not conveying it in a negative light, but in you sharing that information, I'm learning a lot. I'm learning about different strategies with investing, whether that's Airbnb, whether that's commercial, whether that's purchasing businesses, which the laundromat is something that I think you had just purchased when we first met, if I'm not mistaken, or you were in contract.
Right. Mm-hmm.
So I think that's awesome. So talk to us a little bit about the agents that you mentor, that you've been helping get into this time freedom, I would say, or really being future focused, as opposed to just being in the day-to-day. I got to go get my next transaction. It looks like you're 5 steps ahead in terms of, you know, where your career is going to go, and you're helping a lot of agents do that as well.
Yeah. So, I mean, a lot of that is really just me sharing, like you mentioned, just me sharing what I do every day. I mean, because there's a lot of agents out there that we admire that are top producers that just feel like they're on a whole different level. And I think it's important that, when you want to be like that, right, and you want to have what they have and that the business they have, it feels kind of like they're superstars, and it's like, damn, how do I get there, right? But I think you kind of have to share the journey, right? Like I mentioned, I was posting for over a year and I barely got anything, but this is my second year. And I started YouTube this beginning of this year in February. That was one of my goals this year, to get that launched, because before that I was doing a bunch of TikTok and Instagram and Reels and whatever. It got me a lot of branding awareness, but it didn't give me leads. And my self-limiting belief that I had given myself was that I don't have the time to make YouTube. But then, of course, I realized, oh, wait, I'm partnered with one of the YouTube agent gurus out here. I got some services I can use. So like the editing thing was really killer. Like I can imagine, it takes me about an hour to edit a reel probably. When I'm really good, maybe 30 minutes. But YouTube, I was like, oh man, it's probably gonna be like hours. You gotta make the thumbnail, you gotta do the captions, whatever. So, I was like, you know what, the heck with that. I'm just gonna pay for the editing service, and I'm just gonna free me up to create the content. And so I think that's something I learned along the way, like you had kind of mentioned, attending events, professional development events, conferences, being in rooms with like-minded individuals, being in rooms with people who are doing way better than you are. It challenges you, and it makes you stretch and makes you grow. And a lot of these people there's really nothing too special about them. They're just very similar to you. But what got them there is that they're consistent, and maybe they're doing something slightly different than you are. But a lot of these people, they're willing to share with you exactly what they did to get there. And they do that because, I mean, there's so much business out there, and there's a lot of people with obviously a scarcity mindset. And, there's so many houses out there. There's so many clients and different types of niches. And even if you have people in the same market, I mean, everybody knows different people. And so you shouldn't have that scarcity mindset. You should have an abundance mindset. And really, I think you have to believe in yourself that you can do it. I mean, if you just have a scarcity mindset that, oh, I'm friends with this agent and he knows the same people I know, we're just going to fight each other for the same clients. And that's something that, myself, I'm part of a minority Asian group. So we're not big, and we know everybody. And that's something that might be, looked at as a scarcity thing, because most of our clients, are people within our community. But even then, I mean, there's so many people, and if they don't know who you are, then they're not going to use you, right? So you have to keep leveling yourself up so that you can diversify your skill set and your niche and all that. And yeah, that's kind of the reason why I like to invest in my business, and I go to events. I hired a VA even before I was broke, right? When I was broke and starting off, I think as soon as I joined EXP, I went, it was like 2 months in, I got an email from EXP saying, hey, we got this shareholder summit coming up, and it's in Florida. It's in May. It was like February, and it was like a $600-$700 ticket to go. And I was like, dude, I don't own any shares of EXP yet. I haven't sold a single thing yet. I don't know what this thing is about. Something in me made me buy a ticket. It might have been because it said it was early bird and I would get a discount. But but anyway, I bought the ticket and I took the leap, right? And I went. And I was just a couple months into the business at EXP. Didn't know anybody because EXP is virtual. We had 75,000 agents at the time worldwide. I don't know a lot of people. We're kind of, we're the virtual tech brokerage. I don't know a lot of EXP agents locally or nationwide for that matter, besides at the time, Jaime that I joined, right? We're partners. And so I actually ran into Jaime down there. So that was awesome. But when I went down there, the first day, it was like amazing. It was like so much knowledge sharing from the speakers and everything, and the classes. And I was a struggling agent, like I said. I was learning how to market and things like that. One of the classes I learned that kind of changed my trajectory a lot is how to hire a VA. And what that taught me was, you just because you can do everything doesn't mean you should in your business, right? And so that kind of was like a light bulb moment. Like, why am I wasting my time doing like $5, $8, $10 activity when I need to be out there attracting the business, that doing the activities that actually create income for me. And so after that event, I mean, hiring a VA was super expensive. It's not cheap. I could talk more about that if you want to reach out to me. But it was an investment in my company, in my business, right? And so I was doing it out of faith that, hey, if I hire this VA, it's going to help me scale my business. And my intention was, okay, I need help with lead gen and I need help with cold calling at the time. I thought cold calling was going to be one of the ways that I could, get more leads. So I hired my VA with the intention of doing the cold calling and handling my social media. Which she helped me with that, but it was rough. I mean, she called like thousands of people, hundreds of people a day, thousands of people a week, barely any conversion. I think the whole time I had her doing cold calling for a month, she probably set up like 2 or 3 appointments, and 2 of those were people just like trying to use us to use our information, give them a CMA, and then they would try and sell the house themselves. One of them was like, "Oh yeah, I already have an agent. It's already on the market." I'm like, "What are you calling us for then?" So yeah, and then after that, lost a lot of money. Already investing in the VA, already investing in the dialer, in the skip tracing program, all that. And then I was like, "Nah, I'm not going to do that anymore." So then that's when I switched over to video. This year, I switched over to YouTube. And my results have been very good, I would say. Just doing it out of faith for over a year and a half. I have people now reaching out to me with the investor avatar that I have. People are contacting me. They're like, "Hey, I want to work with you in Milwaukee. I want to invest. I'm calling you." And I had a YouTube, a regular home buyer reach out to me because they saw me on YouTube. And they were like, "Hey, I want to work with you. I want to do a new build." And that was like a $500,000 transaction off of YouTube. I showed them houses for a day. We wrote 2 offers, and that was like amazing. I was like, wow, this works. So, but yeah, then I'm helping other agents I'm showing people what I do, because like I said, I think at the end of the day, there's business for everybody, and a lot of people aren't willing to put in the work. That's really what it comes down to. There's nothing different for me and other people. I think it's just consistency. And honestly, for me, I look at myself and I'm like, man, if I was just a little bit more consistent, it'd be scary how much more I could do. And in the beginning, I had the fear of, right in the beginning, after I went to shareholders, I was really afraid of, man, what if I get too big? What if I can't handle all these leads? That's a different type of problem, right? Like, and now even today, with the amount of production I have and everything, I'm grateful for. But I'm thinking to myself, like, wow, if I really become consistent in this YouTube thing and really optimize what I'm doing, I could do a whole lot better. There's a lot of room left. And so that's kind of what I'm trying to share with other people and help them out, because yeah, it is a struggle to be a newer agent and to try and figure things out. So.
No, I dig it. I dig it. Thank you for sharing that. And because oftentimes we get to the end result and never start at the origin story. Unless it's a movie, then that's going to be the third sequel, right? Then you get to the origins, you go backwards to try to milk some more money out of the moviegoers. But oftentimes we skip to the end result, and that has its place, if you will, as motivation, aspirational, and things of that nature. But show me how. Right. So one of the things that has been a theme throughout our conversation today, and I kind of had a hint that it would be investing, because not only investing in real estate, because that's where you started in your relation to real estate in the investing world, but also investing in yourself. You mentioned maybe you didn't have the disposable income at the moment to go on a leap of faith and fly all the way to Florida, buy a multi-$100 ticket plus multi-$100 per night plus everything else that adds up. So a common theme that has been resonating through our time together has been investing. And sometimes it is gonna put you on the hot seat, right? If you had $100,000 in the bank and a $2,000 trip might not be a big deal. But in fact, you would welcome it because it'd be a good write-off. But when you are dependent on that to actually have a return on investment to where you cannot afford to lose it, literally cannot afford to lose it, there's a different type of good pressure, in my opinion, that will force you to network. Maybe I shouldn't say force, but yeah, it encourages you to network. It encourages you to hang on to each one of these nuggets that's being shared from stage from successful agents. But more importantly, actually take action from what you're learning, because everything that you've been investing so far, whether that's just with knowledge, whether that's these events, whether that's buying your time back through editing services and things of the nature that you're bringing onto your business, like a virtual assistant to help you and aid you in your business. At the end of the day, if you don't have a plan for your business and actually put some action behind it, it's just going to fall flat. So that is incredible. Lor, how can real estate agents connect with you if they want to learn more about Airbnb? It's going to be a long list, so get ready. If they want to learn more about Airbnb, about commercial investing, about business, investing in businesses, about just having a sustainable, profitable real estate business that a lot of real estate agents, unfortunately, never get to. You might be a top producer in your market, but if you're working 80 hours a week, your family hates you or you hate yourself, and there's just a lot of shrapnel that's being caused by the amount of work that you're putting in. I'm going down a rabbit hole. Back to you, Lor. How can people connect with you if they need a little bit of balancing when it comes to real estate and having a profitable business?
Yeah. If anybody wants to reach out to me for, just to talk and chat, you can email me, lor.vang@exprealty.com, or visit my website for all of my list of socials. So my agent website is lorvangrealty.com, and that's LORVANG realty.com. Or you can also subscribe to my YouTube. So youtube.com/@LorVang. So those are some places you can find me. Of course, I'm on Facebook as well. So
boom. And we'll drop that all in the description. So feel free to connect with Lor. Thank you so much for your time. You've been super abundant with it and also with the information that you shared. So thanks so much.
Yeah, you're welcome.